Hello, Matt. Welcome to the Cubigo Virtual Hospitality Summit.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. Yeah, so first of all, uh, what is Scopos all about and what is your role within the Scopos organization?
Yeah, Scopos is a hospitality design firm. Our mission is to create hospitality environments that generate excitement, indulge the senses, promote social interaction, and meet the desires of our client through nutrition. Now, what does that mean? Basically, anything having to do with food service, back of the house, front of the house, technology, operational consulting, branding, small wares. We're a one-stop shop resource for all of our clients. Some of our clients choose to just use us for design. Some of our clients use us for operational consulting. So we have a mixed bag of services that we can offer our clients depending on what their needs are.
Wow, that sounds great. And that's a lot. So very interesting. Maybe to dive directly deeper into this. So one of the big challenges, like we all know, for our clients, for our partners, are staff shortages. So how can design strategies help to address staff shortages?
Yeah, I just did a speaking session at a conference in Milwaukee last week in regards to this topic. And although I don't have all the answers, I'm not going to solve your staffing issues overnight. There are ideas and there are strategies that we have used over the past couple of years to kind of help not only recruit staff, but also, once again, retain that staff. So ultimately, we're trying to recruit. Right now, everybody's having a hard time. But once you recruit them, how are we retaining those individuals? And a lot of people, well, why is a food service designer talking about this? Because ultimately, in order to recruit them to an industry that was seen as probably not the most glamorous when it comes to being a chef or a bartender, or a front of the house, general manager. We want to kind of get rid of the stigma that it's a nursing home and ultimately show them that, wow, these are restaurants. They just happen to be inside of senior living communities. So once I think we get that stigma out of, their heads, we get them in, we show them the beautiful spaces. Now we have to retain those individuals. How do we help make their jobs easier? And part of that has to do with the design. Ultimately, how many steps does it take for one person to do a task? And are there ways to eliminate or decrease the amount of steps it takes to do that job, which ultimately leads to better work efficiencies, happier employees, and ultimately the ability to be able to retain those individuals for longer periods of time. But it also has to do with things like amenities and what types of services are offered to the employees. Are there nice break rooms, areas where they can kind of recharge, decompress, get focused for the next half of their shift? As a chef by trade, someone who's been in the business since I was 17 years old. Yes, on the latter half of my career, it's been more traveling in on the office on the design side, but I can't tell you how many restaurants, country clubs, hotels that I worked in where my break room was a milk crate on the loading dock, and that was where I had to go to kind of recharge or reset, instead of possibly a nice break room where I could go grab and actually have a break, have a lunch, and recharge myself. So, how do we make their jobs more efficient so that ultimately they can be happier at what they do, providing a higher level of service? And B, are the environments conducive enough, and nice enough, efficient enough for us to be able to retain those individuals for longer periods of time?
Wow, great. Thank you. So yeah, a lot of stuff. So first of all, you talked about let's get rid of that stigma and bring back glamour in in these restaurants. So maybe can you give us an example of how you rethink, like maybe some more examples from the field, like how do you bring back glamour in these restaurants? Is it about the seat maps, the way you put the tables in the room? Is it about decoration? What does it all entail?
It's all the above, and it starts with kind of branding the venue. Can't tell you how many communities I'm in, and I see the word cafe, I see the word bistro, I
Yeah,
see the word coffee shop,
yeah,
I see the word dining room, and that's really not a brand, and maybe there's multiple dining venues, and there's a history to the community, and there's a history to the city, there's a history to the area. How can we connect all that together and make it so that those individuals who are going to that restaurant can say a name that relates to the community, relates to the geographical location, or just the food being offered in that environment? And then, yes, it has to deal with the design. Is it a large sea of dining room tables and chairs, which is what we used to see? Or have we been able to break up that space so that different nights of the week you feel like you're sitting in a different area of the restaurant? And then menu, how can we rotate that menu? How can we make it seasonal? How can we make it farm to table? And just really kind of highlight how to operate inside that venue. Right now I'm putting French cooking suites in communities across the country. I'm doing hearth ovens. We're even doing food trucks in communities. So ultimately giving a brand, giving an identity to those scenarios, so that when you're bringing somebody in for an interview, they actually look and feel and act like real restaurant venues, as opposed to, once again, more of a large sea of dining room tables and chairs that's called the dining room.
Indeed. Let's bring some more. The branding, the identity. It's definitely something that a lot of senior living communities could be working on for their dining areas. You also mentioned efficiencies and the example of decreasing the amount of steps. Do you have examples there? Because, like, for any person that is less involved in the dining room operations, you like just walk from the kitchen to the table and back. So where are the gains? Where are these hidden gains for you?
Yeah, and a lot of time, yes, I look at the back of the house first. I look at flow of food. I look at where that food goes when it comes into the organization. Then where does it go once it goes from prep to cook, to production, to the different outlets. But then also as simple as, and this is where I see the most missteps, is in a dining area, is in the front of the house. I see a server take an order on a piece of paper, and then they take that piece of paper over to a POS station, and then they go to the kitchen to pick up that food, which is in a different location, and then deliver that food to the table. And all the time I'm thinking to myself, why is this happening? They just took 10 extra steps for something that has the technology to be able to eliminate those 10 steps. And we do calculations all the time. I mean, you can 10 servers who take 6 missteps a day. I mean, it equates to like over 700 miles a year. That's inefficiency. And if I can be at the table side with a tablet, digitally, and it goes right to the kitchen. So I've eliminated having to go over to that POS for those 10 extra steps. I'm able to do more. I'm able to see more tables. I'm able to be in the dining room, which is where the residents love us, which is where, the management team wants the servers, so that they can be, available for whatever that resident might need, as opposed to back and forth and over here and over there. They're in the dining room. So, using technology in terms of tablets, I'm sure now we've all seen the robotic servers as well. Once again, allowing the server, the person who's creating the experience, has the resident engagement with those residents, allowing a automated technology to deliver food from point A to point B, so that server can stay in the dining room 90% of the time.
Yeah, no, indeed. Looking at it like that, I see where all the efficiency can come from. And so you mentioned also the break rooms, like the amenities for staff. What are your thoughts on food services for staff? It's something we don't always talk about, but like they also need to eat. They're also there on site. What are your thoughts on that?
We need to be providing healthy, nutritional options for the staff all day long, all times of the day, and even for third shift. Once again, we're trying to not only retain or recruit, but we're trying to retain. So having the ability for them not to have to go out on their lunch break, not to have to think about even possibly, oh my God, I got to pick up dinner tonight. Well, why can't they also order dinner from their phone, pick it up at a certain location within the community, and have that extra step eliminated from having to go somewhere after their shift? Once again, creating a better quality of life, a happy employee, and one that hopefully is going to be retained for a really long time. So we've seen these break rooms grow from the traditional, I used to call it the wheel of death. It's the vending machine, that's got all the sandwiches in there. It says fresh made daily, but who knows?
Yeah.
Why have that when you already have a cafe, you already have a bistro, you already have a coffee shop? Why not have the staff be able to order from those venues as well? Maybe not sit in those venues if that's your policy, but at least be able to order from them, grab it at a specific location, and then have a full 30-minute break so they're not sitting there waiting for their food if they do go to one of those venues.
Well, thank you. I think, yeah, that was a lot of information, but just it's not about only the recruitment, it's also about retaining staff and then rethinking the way they take breaks, the break room, and providing also services for them.
Yeah, and wellness. A lot of these communities have wellness areas. If they're large enough and they have the ability to, I can go as a staff member on my break to work out or even afterwards. It's once again an extra step and an extra gym membership I didn't have to worry about in the long run.
Yeah, lot of room for improvement there if you look at how things are going today. So completely different topic, and I'll let you go with it. But can you share a little bit more about MenuTainment and what that entails? MenuTainment.
This is a very large topic. Ultimately, we see a lot of menu fatigue in communities, tired of the same old thing, same old every single day. So MenuTainment, it's how can we expand on food service? How can we offer virtual cooking classes or virtual demos? How can we keep the excitement inside those existing venues by rotating the menu, maybe even a little quicker, highlighting certain times of year, or maybe the campus has a garden or a local farm they're working with and trying to bring that farm to table experience into it. But with MenuTainment, I mean, everybody watches food shows. We've been watching them, for a really long time. That's how I got my start back in the early 80s, was watching public television and seeing the MenuTainment on TV and saying to myself, wow, everyone wants to be a chef. And then Emerald came along and everybody wanted to be Emerald, but having the ability to have a location in which you can broadcast that MenuTainment or those food shows all throughout the community, even inside the community. And it could be as simple as, hey, we're going to roll out a new menu this spring. Here are some of the items that you're going to see on that menu. And once again, giving the resident the transparency of seeing not only how is it made, but also what's in it. So the mystery of where did that come from is gone. And the mentality of, oh, they just make everything out of a can back there. That's all gone because we've shown them and we've given them the opportunity to see that new dish and how it's created.
No, that's great. Bringing more transparency sounds like a very easy quick win. The Hospitality Summit is all about insights, actionable insights for our clients. Imagine I'm a chef and that joined today on our webinar, on our call. How do I get started? Like live cooking classes, I think many of us want to get started, but they don't really know where to get started. How do they get started?
It could be as simple as converting a multi-purpose room, or if you do have some front of the house cooking, starting off with those simple cooking classes where maybe they are live and maybe you have some residents there. And then once again, nowadays we all have this, thing in our pocket right here, and ultimately I can take 3 of those and have a live cooking demo right, in my kitchen right across the hallway here that can broadcast all across the country with platforms, even just as simple as using Zoom, or any platform out there. But the ability to have different camera angles, once again, a good picture is key. Good cameras are key, but there are simple software out there that you can use to have a great successful event where it's not just one shot on me. You can take shots from the top down and over here, but listen, you don't need fancy equipment anymore. You get 2 or 3 people with a cell phone with some good cameras, and you really can make MenuTainment pretty easy.
No, thank you for the tips. So yeah, we touched upon a little bit during the different questions, like technology is coming back. It's a recurrent theme. Cubico is, of course, a technology company. What is your take on the role that technology needs to play in these newly designed dining areas?
We have to make them future ready. All of the communities, or at least most of the communities that I am renovating, even ones that are 10 years old, 5 years old, 15 years old, a lot of them were not future ready. The ability to add technology, i.e. self-order kiosks, or tableside ordering, that we're using KDS screens in the kitchen, the ability for a resident to order food from their room through a platform in which they can go, point, click, I want this, none of that, add that, and have it go straight to the point of service or the individual who is making that food. Those are the types of things we have to look at. Are the MEP requirements in place for the possibility of future aspects in those environments? But through the past 2 years, the majority of those individuals in the communities had a fast track on how to use technology in a lot of different facets, whether it was FaceTiming their kids at home, or once again, the community had to revert to full takeout. And how does that order process work? Well, instead of having 4 or 5 people on phones, answering those takeout orders, why not just give them the platform? They have smart TVs in the room. They all have cell phones, the majority of them. So, and some people might say, well, maybe not our residents, or our residents are a little bit older. That's okay. We understand that. However, my parents, 78 and 75, they're fully versed in how to use technology. And probably once moving into a community, we'll look at, do they have the ability to use all of those smart devices and possibly be able to order food from their phone.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and I think also examples like digital signs across the campus just to promote the menu, an in-suite channel to have the live cooking classes on. Yeah, there are so many possibilities, untapped possibilities for many of us. Yeah, we went through a lot of stuff. Can you just walk us through how a typical SCOPOS project works? So people saw or joined the webinar, and so maybe they want to get started with you folks. They want to redesign their restaurants. How they reach out to you? What does that whole process look like? The timeline, like what is expected from them, etc., etc.
Yeah, with new communities and new construction, it all starts with programming. It all starts with working with the ownership team to determine how many different units for how many different levels of care, what's their general vision of how they see food service and food service delivery. And then it's up to me and Scopos to make sure that we're showing them what the competition is doing. We're showing them the opportunities they could have if they go in a certain direction. And then once again, it really starts with building the program. you know, hey, here's X, Y, and Z venues. They're going to operate from this time to this time. They're going to serve these types of foods. And then we start getting into the design process. A long time ago, you know, the architects would, you know, get the food service consultant involved maybe at a later phase. And then at that point, you might have to backtrack. And we don't want to have to backtrack. We want to set the program on day one so that everybody's designing for the same thing and for the same spaces. And then we go through your typical design phases, just like an architect and design team would, you know, schematic design, design development, contract documents, and construction administration. And through that process, we're with the client the whole way through, making sure that when we hand it over, or when the contractor hands that environment over, it's designed and the equipment was to the spec that we specified. So, but you know, in a renovation, we're going to look at your existing platforms, your existing venues. Are there plans for growth in the community? Are you competing within yourself? Do you have two coffee shops or two places that are serving breakfast and you have minimal participation at both of them? Why are we staffing both of those scenarios? So, and then once again, it all kind of comes back to making sure that we cross the finish line. And I've been with SCOPOS now for 6 years, and I was with a dealer before that. But the three top things you need to cross the finish line successfully are branding, small wares, and technology. Those three things are extremely important to make sure that whatever design, whoever designed, once it gets built, if you don't have those three other things, you might as well have just thrown your money away a lot of times, because I see big misses, you know, and I see 9-inch white plates being used for every course. Or once again, we talked about, I see generic branding names, and once again, no technology. We're still writing on pieces of paper, and those pieces of paper are stuck in the, you know, ticket rails in the back of the house. Just not efficient ways on how to do things in 2022.
Yeah, I see that. And as a wrap up, any parting thoughts? Like, what are the big trends in the industry? What are you like the coming years? What is going to happen?
Listen,
Yeah.
we've been talking about the boomers moving in, the boomers moving in, the boomers moving in. I've heard it for the past 10 years. I guess they're finally moving in. However, we're still trying to get them to move in because they love the restaurant industry so much. As soon as they move in, they feel like they've lost that. Yeah. So if a trend, something, what's your number one trend? Well, we really need to start mimicking what the restaurant industry is doing and bring that into the community on a certain level. So coffee shops used to never have coffee shops in senior living communities. You know, now they're almost in every single one. Why? Because everybody likes their lattes and their espressos and their chai iced latte with triple foam, non-fat, whatever, you know. So we have to start trying to mimic those scenarios. Grocery stores. Yeah, we don't need grocery stores in communities, but maybe we need a smaller version of those things. Bars are huge, you know. Why we didn't think about this to begin with? Why should we not allow someone in assisted living the ability to have a beer with their cheeseburger while they're watching, you know, the baseball game on TV? So really starting to try and mimic what the restaurant industry is doing, and how can we take those experiences and bring them into the community and deliver a similar experience. So
no, that's great parting thoughts indeed. And yeah, we're talking a lot about the boomers, but they're ready, but we should also be ready to welcome them in nicely designed properties, with technology, with an identity, and of course with the best staff we can retain.
Because after they move in, you got the Gen Xers moving in. Exactly. And our expectations are going to be much higher than theirs. So
exactly. Well, on that, thank you very much, Matt. It was a great talking to you. I think a lot of insights for our partners, for our clients. So yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.